Hello, welcome back to you, the viewers, and welcome to our guest, Alex Scott. Hello, mate. Thanks for joining us. So tell us a bit about you.
I work for Poker'sThe in the poker and management team. Also write for Inside Poker magazine. And I play a fair bit as well.
How long ago did you start playing?
Almost 10 years ago now. I started quite young, playing for pennies, you know, my friend's living room floor. And I started playing seriously when I went to university. I got involved in the university poker scene, which is a lot more professional than it sounds. It sounds like a very amateur thing, but people take it very seriously. And I think that's where I really improved. And then once I'd finished at university, I was sort of playing to support myself. And I realised that I didn't want to get involved in an IT career, which was what I trained for.
Right.
So I just
Funny
did.
That sounds very exciting.
It's dull.
How many people? Loads of IT people come into poker, don't they? Must be that kind of analytical, statistical.
Or it's just because IT is so boring, you're just desperate for
Yeah,
another.
that's
I could be wrong. But
there it is.
That's where my money is.
But so I just did as much as I possibly could to get involved in poker as a career. I really wanted to get involved in this industry, so I put myself out there for everything. I was, offering tuition. I was writing articles, which is how I got involved in the magazine. Obviously, I was playing. I was doing everything that I possibly could, sending my CV to everybody.
On the writing front, Alex, what's the most interesting article you've had from your point of view, not necessarily from an editorial, or just the one you most enjoy doing?
For me, it was probably a feature I did a couple of months ago about tells and the importance of body language and everything in live poker. And that was something that I got involved in when I played a tournament on TV, and I made a couple of really bad decisions because of what I thought were tells at the time. So I thought I'd take time to...
Was this the British Poker Open?
Yes, it is. Yeah, that was a couple of years ago. I came second in it, and I was really frustrated because with the hands that I got, I should have finished first.
Right.
So I thought I'd take time to really study tells and body language and see what I could do, and I ended up working it into my dissertation at university, which has nothing to do with IT at all. But so that was a bit of a cop-out.
You played against Mike Matteso in that tournament as well.
Yeah, that's right. He beat me with his Jack 10 against my King 4, all in before flop.
Hey. Well, what do you think? I mean, because a lot of people, obviously, a lot of our viewers are reasonably new to poker, and a lot of people going, I want to play live, but I'm really scared because of tells and this and that. Is how important do you think it is to beginning players to worry too much about? Not obviously you've got to worry about giving off tells, but about how much information is out there that they think they're missing from tells.
Well, first of all, tells are like a small part of the game, and one of the mistakes that I was making when I was on the British Poker Open was I was just assigning way too much value to tells. Nothing beats solid fundamentals. That's the most important thing, for sure.
Do you have like a percentage? Like, I'm making a decision. How much of that decision is based upon any tell or any physical kind of attribute I give to you? Well,
really, it's only if it's a close decision anyway. If I was on. If I was playing a tournament, I was on the button, and I was wondering whether I should raise and try and steal the blinds. If I saw that the blinds had already looked at their hand and they were sort of, leaning back in the chair, that they weren't interested, then that might make me raise more often than I would otherwise.
Okay.
So are you playing position first off and then going to your tells?
Well, tells is supporting my decision making. It's not replacing it. Position and aggression always come first.
And you sound kind of like unusually like someone who actually went from live to playing online, rather than most of the people these days, they introduce to the game online and then they start dabbling in live.
That's true.
Are you predominantly a live or online player now?
Well, these days I'm predominantly a live player because I'm not allowed to play on the website that I work for.
I see.
For obvious reasons, and sometimes when you get home
you're not very good.
Well, yeah, that too.
Just obviously, so they don't get embarrassed by it.
Yeah, and so when I get home as well from a day working in online poker, I don't always feel like sitting in front of the computer for another few hours playing online poker. Yeah. So, but I love live poker. I really do. Really love it. And
I just want to come back to the British Open experience, and a lot of our viewers across Sky Poker generally want to play against some of the great names in poker, and we mentioned Mike Matteso, and you did that. What was that experience like?
It was intimidating. I thought at the time that it wouldn't be. I felt very calm going into it, but I realised, analysing afterwards, which I've done a lot, believe me, I was a lot more intimidated than I felt at the time. I was making bad decisions against the pros. And really, the only reason I finished second in that event was because they played badly as well. You know.
Really? Were there any other big names in that particular tournament?
Cloney Gowan was in it. Christy Gazers was in it. So you know, all the huge names.
Quite literally 3 names.
Got all 3 scalps on the wall.
Literally several.
Well,
pros
2.
Yeah,
played
2
in that
scalps.
event.
So, and what do you think, actually, kind of like on an aside, what do you make to the fuss of women poker players versus men poker players? Any
I don't
real
think
thoughts?
there's any real advantage to being a woman, except that men will treat you differently. I don't think there's any inherent advantage, like you have extra intuition or extra skill by default or anything like that. But, you know, men will fold hands to you because they want to have sex with you. It's that simple.
What, are you talking to me directly
Yeah, I
now?
thought it was talking
Well,
to men don't want to do that. Me, thankfully.
Actually, Dan's department.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not used to
leave that
that.
to
Do you find that having worked in poker, because I found this a bit, you know, I was a poker player for years and years before I kind of started doing stuff in the industry. Do you find it kind of taints your love of the game because you spend so much time thinking and breathing poker?
If anything, I think it's made me a better player and it's made me keener to really get out there and achieve something big. Like so far, I feel like you know, I'm involved in the magazine, I'm involved in the biggest poker site in the world and everything. But I feel like when it comes to achievements like bracelets, I'm lagging behind a bit. You know, I know I'm capable of more, so that's what I want to.
So what is your ultimate ambition in poker, Alex?
Basically, I don't really want to be famous or anything like that. I just want to be
Well, you're on the right show
respected.
for that. Yeah. Nobody, quite literally nobody watches this.
I just,
Hi, Mum.
I just want to be respected in the industry, someone who knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And, you know, somebody who can be relied on.
Is that why you diversified into the poker management, the writing? You clearly play as well.
I think so at first, yeah. I didn't want to be too one-dimensional.
Or is that because you just couldn't make your mind up?
I think it was
It's nice to have a backup plan as well, isn't it?
Always, always.
When the downswings, a little bit of income helps.
I think I was just so desperate to get involved
did
that
as
I would
much.
try anything, literally.
It's not a bad strategy, though, is it?
No, well, it
clearly there's
works.
nothing else going on the Isle of Man.
No, absolutely nothing, apart from the TT,
A couple of weeks
a year.
The occasional rally.
The rest of the time, you know, that's it. There's drinking.
So are you
Always drinking.
actually still based on the Isle of Man?
Yeah, that's where the Poker'sThe's head
where our
office
home
is.
is.
So that's where.
Yeah.
That's
Was
where
that
we
your
live at the
home
moment.
already, though?
No, actually, I grew up in Sheffield and then I moved to Scotland for university. Lived in Edinburgh for ages. The live poker scene in Scotland is awful.
Really?
Yeah, really, really terrible. And it was so disappointing. So I ended up playing
It's
online
really
a lot.
interesting. It's going to sound like funny tangent, but when we first started the club and we take a lot more phone calls than we tend to these days, is that we had an enormous amount of Scottish callers, and we couldn't work out why there were so many Scots, percentage-wise, that seem to be playing online. And then we thought maybe it's the weather. But so is that still the situation? Do you know? Is the live poker a bigger deal up there now?
I think it's improved for sure. I mean, casinos aren't thinking of it as a lost leader anymore. They're not thinking of it as just a way to get people in so that they lose money at table games, which, you know, a lot of casinos are guilty of. Now they're thinking it's a way to make profit in itself, so they're trying to put on, you know, a better show for the players.
Right.
But I don't think Scotland's caught up to places like Nottingham or London.
Right,
yet.
gotcha.
You mentioned the word show there. Watch this seamless. Watch
I
this.
think now that you've drawn attention to it,
Barn Lover from Welshpool has said it's become the fashion to show
has it?
cards.
Nice.
Obviously, what's your advice on this new trend? Is
That
it?
was-
Is
that
it
was
new-
very good.
Did you like that? What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, I don't know about it. Do you think? I guess
Showing
there's a little
cards?
bit more sort of like showboating now, isn't there, with people showing cards?
Well, there's a lot of cocky young players in
Yeah.
the game, and they like to show bluffs and you know, humiliate their opponents and stuff, which is one of my pet peeves. I really hate that. You know, there's no other business where you humiliate your customers and expect to get paid. You know?
that's the good
It's
way.
an
It
interesting
is.
way of looking
That's
at
the good
it.
way. Like your opponents are your customers, and
Yeah,
this
they
is
are.
your chips are your business.
What about you? Do you have a view on that, on showing cards?
Do you know what? I'd always generally, if I write my stuff or if I answer questions, I always just say don't, because it's more frustrating to your opponents to have no information than a vague idea.
Absolutely.
The only time I tend to do it is in live tournaments. In the very early stages, I will play ludicrously loose and be very vocal and very flamboyant, and I'll show lots of junk because actually I'm mostly a pretty tight, aggressive player. And I just do it early on when I know that people are probably most tuned in, and if they remember anything about me, they'll remember me being the guy that was showing the junk and the bluffs and all that. Because also at that stage of the tournament, especially in a deep tournament, it doesn't cost you much to invest in that, which could be a very,
Just making a note of this
very
for our
useful,
next tourney.
you know, investment to pick up lots of chips later on. But have you ever showed cards yourself?
Well, I think I'm the same as you, really. If I'm showing cards, it's to create an image for myself, which might not be my actual image. Like, if I want to steal the blinds a lot, I might, you know, show a good hand when I steal the blinds successfully. You know, let's say I have ace, king, and a raise, and everyone folds. I might show it then, hoping that I'll create a tight image which people will remember later. You know, when this guy raises, he's got a good hand, and they'll fold the blinds to me a bit more often. So I'm kind of like the opposite. You try and create a loose image so that you get paid off on hands. I try and create a tight image so I can steal, but you know, it's really the same goal. So
generally, we're saying if you're going to show hands, have a strategy or a reason behind it for doing that. I'm the opposite. I don't show hands.
No.
That's because I don't know what to do really when I show them, whether I'm showing them for a reason. So I just think if I don't show them, I don't have to worry.
I think certainly showing them to be big and clever is definitely the worst reason to do it, try and humiliate people. But it's always out there. If that's a good thing, I think, about poker, and that's why I think being able to deliver strategies is a good thing, because no one's ever right, no one's ever wrong. But it's good to hear your thoughts. Thank you for joining us, sir.
It is. Yeah,
it's
thanks for being with us. That's it for another edition of The Club. Thanks to everyone involved. We'll see you again very soon. Bye for now.